It is 5:30 p.m. and I will call to order the November 16, 2020 meeting of the MISD Board of Trustees. Thank you all for coming, and thank you all for those that are participating or listening in or looking in via Zoom. As is our custom, we will begin with a moment of silence and a pledge to the U.S. and Texas flags. But before we have the moment of silence, let me introduce you to the student who will be leading us in those pledges. And that is Midland High School junior Quinn Roop. Am I pronouncing it Roop? Is that correct? All right, Mr. Roop, thank you for being here. Quinn is a cadet in the Midland High School Junior ROTC, where he serves as a key supervisor for the Honor Guard training program and team performance. He has received the Outstanding Flight Ribbon, Good Conduct Ribbon, and the Longevity Award while serving in the Junior ROTC. Quinn has a course load of Chemistry, English 3, Algebra 2, U.S. History, and is also a member of the Mighty Bulldog Band. Outside of school in the Junior ROTC, Quinn spends his spare time playing the guitar. After graduating high school, Quinn plans on enlisting in the United States Marine Corps. Cadet Quinn Roop. Mr. Roop, thank you. I'll be calling on you in just a moment. But first, if you'll please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. Cadet Roop.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
All right, thank you, Mr. Root. We wish you the very best on your remaining academic career and your service to this country. Thank you very much. All right, next, agenda item 2, presentations, recognitions, awards, and announcements. 2A is our United Way presentation. Ms. Ladd, welcome.
Midland ISD has received a generous donation of $25,000 from the United Way of Midland in support of our Family Support Center. The Family Support Center, the brainchild of Student Services Director Jill McCall, has been supported by the community since its inception. Designed to be a one-stop shop for students in crisis, the center has received donations from the Warren Charitable Foundation and other anonymous donors. These funds have been used to make the space more welcoming and student-friendly. The United Way's donation tonight will further that objective. The center focuses on a restorative approach to meeting the basic needs of students and families and setting them back on the path towards success in school. On behalf of Ms. McCall, I invite you to come tour the center and to now show our appreciation for the United Way of Midland.
Elaine, on behalf of United Way of Midland, we would like, my voice is pretty clear, Martin County could hear me. On behalf of United Way of Midland, we are presenting this check to MISD Foundation in the amount of $25,000 to Family Support Center. And we really great work ahead of y'all, and we really appreciate it. We're so glad to present this to y'all today.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, 2B, Lamar Elementary, Capturing Kids, National Showcase School, and PLC Model, School Designation Recognition. Dr. Goodnow, welcome.
Good evening, President Davis, members of the Board of Trustees, and Superintendent Ann Dixon. I'm inviting Amy Clark, our principal of Lamar Elementary School. We are recognizing this evening the honor that Lamar Elementary School received last year from Capturing Kids' Hearts as a National Showcase School. The school was awarded this honor for the 2019-2020 school year. And we celebrate the campuses that go above and beyond in building a safe and welcoming environment where students are really connecting, and that the culture of instruction and learning is clearly evident. So I spent some time at Lamar just a couple of weeks ago subbing and as a principal, and I can tell you that the students were making sure that I was okay, and that's where you really know that you've got that mutual respect for everyone, and they were really worried about you all as well. So there's a lot of love happening, and that really does happen before the learning. Capturing Kids' Hearts Showcase awardees are evaluated and selected based on a survey and performance data from administrators, teachers, staff, and students. Lamar has experienced decreases in disciplinary referrals, and a positive campus culture is clearly evident. We also want to celebrate that Lamar Elementary School is also a Solution Tree Model PLC school. And as you know, the Model PLC schools are really a lever that we're pulling in order to immediately affect and address student achievement. 1 in 42 schools in Texas have been chosen to be a Model PLC school, and in order to get that honor, you must demonstrate a commitment to PLCs and implement those concepts for at least 3 years, and then see the improvement in student data. So we're all looking forward to see how these two very important levers come together. And congratulations. Thank you.
Congratulations, and thanks for all the great work. All right, next, agenda item 3, public forum. We have one speaker signed up to address us this evening. His name is Matthew Johns, and the topic is campus instruction and quarantine. Mr. Johns, welcome.
Can I take my mask off up here? Okay. All right, good evening, board members. I asked this question to Ms. Dixon, and I haven't received a response yet, and it's a question that numerous teachers, staff, students, and parents are wondering. At Midland Freshmen, I know we're shorthanded, and I know we're shorthanded across the district, and at our campus alone, I'm not sure on exact numbers, but it's at least 250 plus kids based on my department alone that are quarantined. I have a question of, at what point does the district make a decision in the name of safety of the students, staff, and their family members to close the campus? And we're talking even just a short-term closure, I'm sorry. Many of us feel that the district has, not been clear about what constitutes ground for a closure, and we're wondering if they'll even actually do it. We don't feel safe, and we feel that the district is playing a dangerous game with the lives of the students and the teachers and their family members in the balance. Currently, our community is at a 30% positivity rate, and the testing numbers are over a week out as well. And I know our original plan said that phase 2 wouldn't even happen until positivity was basically below 5%. Now, obviously, I know that plan has gone out the window, but we haven't been told what the new guidelines are, and that question mark in there makes us feel very uncertain and very nervous. And yes, by the way, I do believe in being available for kids, and having the campuses open is a good idea. I also admired our willingness to change course and have the courage to make the decision to abandon hybrid earlier than stated, as I don't believe it was working in the favor of students or teachers. So my next question is, what quality of instruction is occurring when such a huge number of our students and staff are quarantined at the secondary level, when I have literally over half of my students that are not present? I have about 95 kids. Today I saw 44. Friday I saw 36. And at that point, what kind of quality is occurring, and why are we, still open in such a severe situation? Our community hospital is overwhelmed. Our medical professionals have basically begged us to do something as a community. Our school nurses, by the way, I believe deserve hazard pay, and they are overwhelmed. Our dashboard on the MISD webpage hasn't been updated since November 8th, and I think it's a testament. I mean, that thing was getting updated every day, and that thing hasn't been updated, and I think it's another testament to us being overwhelmed. I do believe at this point the amount of students that are in quarantine would be better served by an online or virtual transition for the time being. Face-to-face instruction when we're missing the bulk of our students does not serve the majority of students. When are we supposed to create content and materials for our quarantine kids when our conference periods have evaporated due to all the staff outages and we have to keep covering? I know central office has stepped in, which is great, but we still, even on Friday, we had 11 teachers out. We had 3 people from central office, and there were 8 teachers that needed to be filled. And once again, at what point do we say what kind of quality of instruction is occurring when they don't even have their teachers in class? My MOA, the Online Academy class, has doubled in its size, and now my class sizes, once again, are below 50%. For the life of me, I cannot discern the rationale at this point to continue marching forward with these actions and with the expense of what few threads remain of student, staff, and teacher morale and energy. I believe that this district is on a collision course with dangerous outcomes, and the minimal benefit that we're getting is not worth the amount of risk. The course of action is not working, and I think it's time to again demonstrate courage and change it. I thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sorry. Turning my mic back on. Turning to our consent agenda. Item 4A, our board meeting minutes on page 9 of the meeting packet. 4B, monthly financials on page 18. 4C, monthly expenditures, page 30. 4D, monthly investment report, page 47. 4E, contracts over $100,000, page 54. Auction 2020, page 56. Region 18 Cooperative, Interlocal and Vendors, page 61. 4H, Cooperative Management Fees / Rebates, page 72. 4I, Request for Qualification, RFQ number 20-02, Special Education Professional Services. 4J, Competitive Seal Proposal, number 20-1189-49 and 20-1189-001A-49, Roof Repairs and Roof Replacement, Various Facilities, 2020, page 92. 4K, District Improvement Plan, Campus Improvement Plans, page 97. 4L, 2021 Targeted School Improvement Plans, page 128. And 4M, Personnel Appointments, page 387. Board members, or any of those consent agenda items need to be pulled for any reason? All right, hearing none, then they will all be consent agenda items 4A through 4M shall be deemed approved by consent. All right, now turning to our district reports. 5A, Chief of Staff update. That's a report only, which appears on page 391 in the meeting packet. 5B, Innovation update, a report only, on page 393 of our board packet. Before I move on to 5C, are there anyone that has any questions about those reports on 5A or 5B?
I do.
Okay.
I have a question on the innovation update, but this thing is not actually easy to maneuver now. Get to my page. I'm gonna run. Sorry, I apologize. It takes forever to get down on the page. There's no slide bar anymore. But it is for Dr. King. Maybe I can remember the top of my head here. Maybe get to 400 and 340.
Marcus, do you remember which topic it is? I have
Dr. Kell, it has to do with the transition grant, I believe. And it was for the Idea School. There was a portion in there. It said that they would expend all their funds by fall. I'm trying to look for the exact page, but it would, but it doesn't mention what fall.
Which grant? I'm sorry.
What's that?
Transformation zone?
Yep. Yep. And it's for the Idea School. Who's talking
Oh,
about?
that's this fall.
This
We're in the
fall?
process of closing that up right now.
Okay, and when they said that the grant was extended for a year, to what year was it extended to?
I think it was extended, it was originally supposed, and I'm going off memory, it was originally supposed to close this past fall, and we got an extension as we did with the majority of the grants because of COVID. And so it's supposed to, I'll lie if I try to tell you exactly when it was supposed to close, but I can tell you we're trying to have all funds expended before Christmas. So we'll be done with that grant.
Oh, okay. So it was extended to 2021 or just the fall of 2020?
Like I said, I can't remember off the top of my
Okay.
head, I'm sorry.
That's
I
fine.
can look it up and send it.
Yeah, if you would.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chair, Dr. Kale,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make an observation relative to Coleman redesign program. I had the opportunity to be a part of the initial project,
Yes, sir.
and I think they did a very good job, and we're on the right track.
Thank you, thank you. Ms. Thomas has done a good job of working with the campus, community members, and Mr. Horner on trying to formulate a final plan. We're making good progress. Thank you.
Keep up the good work.
Quick, I probably don't need to speak now. There's, so all the grants, all the grants are listed here, or you're trying to expend get all the funding done by this end of the year?
Each grant has a different ending date.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions about District Report 5A or B? All right, then
One more, and it's just it's a mere suggestion, but on page 394, we have the different governance boards that are meeting. For example, the first one is November 19th for the Young Women's Leadership Academy, Dual Language Academy, December 4th. And like I said, I'm just throwing this as a suggestion, but is it possible, since we have several governance boards, to have a tab, and I don't know if it's legal or not, but in our where people find information for the Board of Trustees, would it be reasonable to put those governance boards as a subtitle down there in case somebody's looking for one of the other meetings?
Which governance board are you referring to?
The ones on page 394.
For the partnership schools, when they're
We can get those on the district
When the board
calendar,
meetings occur.
if that would help.
And would it be possible to put it under the Board of Trustees tab? And that way people see all meetings listed for the other boards that we, okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions about district reports 5A or B? All right, we'll move to 5C, operations update. Information begins on page 396 of the meeting packet. Ms. Spencer, welcome.
Good evening, President Davis, trustees, Superintendent Dixon. I wanted to take a brief opportunity to update you on some of the work that is occurring and inform our community as well. As you see on the first slide, there's an update to the RO systems project. You will see through Milam that the main water lines and RO systems have been installed. Water lines at Parker, Santa Rita, and Scarborough. We have confirmation that the fountains are scheduled to ship December 15th, which means that fountains will be installed over the Christmas break, and that this project will be completed ahead of schedule, and when students return to these campuses after Christmas break, that project will be completed. On the second slide, an update to our facilities assessment. Structural assessments have been completed at 19 of our campuses. The remaining 16 will be assessed following the Thanksgiving break. Mechanical assessments have been done at 12 of our elementary campuses. The remaining 8 will be completed this week, and secondary campuses will be completed next week. We spoke previously about the approved roof replacement projects, and as an update, LHS is 85% complete. Work at Abel and Goddard will begin this week, and then the following elementaries as listed will begin following the completion of those projects. You did approve tonight 5 additional roof replacements, bringing the total to 11 campuses that will receive new roofs this school year. You should also be aware that there is evidence of hail-caused fractures at Alamo, Lamar, and Bonham, most likely from a 2019 hailstorm. Core samples have been taken, and those are currently being assessed, and we are awaiting the report. So that could be an additional 3 roofs that are replaced this year. With technology, we have completed an audit of our technology department. They have been on site. That work is done. We are waiting on the final report, and we should have that in December. 1,522 of the 4,300 plus iPads arrived today. So the shipments are starting to come in. So we've received a third of that order today. Teacher laptops have shipped, and they are also scheduled to arrive this week. So we will be able to get those distributed as well. As you know, we are also updating our Wi-Fi to Wi-Fi 6. Our in-house technicians began that installation at Lee High School and at YWLA. And contractors began work last week to complete the project in its entirety, and that is expected as well to be completed before when kids return from the Christmas holidays. And I wanted to point out tonight as well that in the contracts that you approved in your consent agenda, that you also approved the secondary phone project, meaning that we are ordering 1,500 phones, and all secondary classrooms will now have phones in there for individual teacher use, so they can make those phone calls directly, as we are expecting them to be in contact with families regarding the education of their students. And so big move forward for secondary campuses, and we're very excited about that. So thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Ms. Spencer. Appreciate the report. Look forward to the handing out of all the technology. That's great. And others to come. All right, agenda item 6, discussion/action item 6A, House Bill 3, Early Literacy Math, Ccmr Plan. Information about this begins on page 399 of the meeting packet. Is it Ms. Rivera? Welcome.
Good evening, Board President Davis, fellow trustees, Dr. Dixon, Mr. Pounds. Thank you for the opportunity tonight to speak before the board and talk through a little bit of the House Bill 3 Early Literacy, Early Numeracy, as well as Ccmr plans. I know that Mr. Horner started laying the groundwork for the Ccmr plans this summer during some board workshops. And then we've worked together to try to make this one cohesive plan from early literacy and numeracy all the way through the Ccmr goals at the high school level. So as a result of House Bill 3, the state has set specific guidelines for the district to approve a plan regarding how our early childhood students will actually perform on the third grade STAR, and then how our high school students will continue to earn points and earn the Ccmr distinctions and designations through the state. The goals have to contain a baseline, which I'm so proud of this board for being part of that goal setting process through Lone Star Governance. A lot of the things through the House Bill 3 goal charts are going to be very familiar to our board. So thank you for that continued work in that area. Must have a deadline, must set annual targets in addition to the 5-year target, must be part of a district-wide plan that are to be reviewed annually. This is one place where it does differ from Lone Star Governance. This is an annual report that we will provide over early literacy, numeracy, and the high school Ccmr goals. The early childhood goals sound like they should be set when students are in early childhood in our pre-K through 2nd grade. But what the state is actually doing is measuring how our early childhood students are learning, are progressing, etc., by looking at how they score on 3rd grade STAR. So you'll see when we get to the data charts that we're actually measuring our early childhood students with 3rd grade reading STAR and 3rd grade math STAR. And one thing another difference between House Bill 3 and Lone Star Governance Plan is that we actually have to report out on each student group in Domain 3 in regards to their performance level in 3rd grade reading math on STAR, as well as on the Ccmr targets. So that's a couple of differences, but a couple of similarities as well. So when we go to the next slide, the first couple of data charts are really with early childhood literacy and early childhood math. And when you look at early childhood literacy, I have some extra information in the data chart, quite simply so you would know kind of where we scored historically, and then be able to see how we projected out our scores or our targets for each of our groups in Domain 3. So historically, our results for the all students category in 3rd grade reading was 39% in 2017, 38% in 18, 39% in 2019. Because we did not have STAR last spring in 2020, you quite frankly just see the 2019 score replicated in 2020 as 39%. Then you start looking at our new targets. So the end of 2021, 22, 23, and 24. In order to hit the minimum target for Domain 3, the all students group must score at 44%. So when you start looking at our all students group, that's the numbers that are going across the middle of the slide in 2020, 21, 22, 23, 24. To hit Domain 3 in reading, we've got to be 44% in all students. The overall goal, going back to the top of the slide, now that you have a little bit of history in regards to our performance, the percent of third grade students that score at the meets grade level or above on STAR reading will increase from 39% to 51% by June of 2024. So we're talking about where we were, the last point that we could have measured, which was 39%, and then by June 2024, getting our third graders in reading, 51% of those students at the meets or above level. Domain 3 does not measure the approaches standard when it comes to STAR. We're really focused on meets and masters when it comes to Domain 3 and the percentages that we need our students to attain. While it's 44% for the all students group, once you get to the actual bottom of the chart, you'll see on the very first row, kind of in italicized numbers, the targets for each of those student groups. So when you look at our student group of African American students, the Domain 3 target is 32%. You can see where we scored in 2017, 18, 19, which is a replication in 20, and then you can see where we've projected out for 21 through 24. You will notice that we did not set any target below where that student group should be performing in Domain 3, but you will also see, unfortunately, in multiple student groups, we're not performing at the target yet. So we've got some work to do for sure at getting all of our student groups in Domain 3 to the meets or above level with these percentages. So really, when boards approve these, probably in other districts, they're probably only approving the next 4 years. Fortunately, I've worked with this board for the past few years and know that you want the context, you want the background, you want the historical performance, and so we were able to provide that for y'all today. So when you look at early childhood literacy and all of our student groups that count for the district in Domain 3, then you will now see the targets and where they're set for the next 5 school years.
Question.
Yes, sir.
I believe I'm going to hear all about this tomorrow at the Lone Star Workshop, tomorrow night's meeting, but it was my general understanding that y'all were, I think maybe the word was, you're going to use various data points to triangulate various starting points where you think we might be at the start of the school year with, the spring that we had and all that. Do these numbers, like your 30%, which is a continuation of 2019, a replication of that, was there any triangulation that went in to see if 30% is a good number for the end of 2020?
Quite frankly, on 2020, it's just a direct replication from 2019 because we don't have any end of year data for 2020. So whatever we scored in 2019, you should see that mirrored on 2020, basically using the end of 19 as an end of year 2020 as well. So the first year we will make impact in these charts is actually 2021, when we take third grade reading and STAR this spring.
Well, maybe this is an unfair question, but do you know what I was referring to about the triangulation? Yes. And what were you referring to if not something like this or the math score?
So we will be looking at, and tomorrow in the workshop we'll be able to go through some of those data sets as well. Looking at iStation, looking at Imagine Math, looking at Achieve 3000 when we start looking at junior high for Board Goal 2 tomorrow night, as well as how we performed on the 9-week checkpoints, because we have that data set now. We've got the TEA beginning of year, so several data sets that we've looked at in combination to try to really get the right targets. And so I think we'll get into that more tomorrow night, but what we have done also is look at third grade reading and math and how does that compare to the targets we set for Goal 1 tomorrow in Lone Star Governance with our K2, at least in reading, so we can make sure that when they're reading on or above grade level in second, are we projected the right amount for all students to hit the meets level or above on third grade STAR.
And these, like, I understand your explanation that this third grade, they're measured in third grade, and they're really designed to measure how well the early childhood K through 2 did. But are these percentages to be measured at the end of the third grade year, not the beginning?
Yes, sir. This will be measured with how third graders actually perform on STAR in the spring.
I think we might have known that by now, so I suspect that we will. I think that one of the differences between, I think, Lone Star governance and what we're going to do tomorrow night and this is really addressing HB3 and the state mandate, and so using the measurements that they're asking us to being the end of the year STAR. So that's one of the reasons I'm thinking that they probably are still going to administer STAR. How that plays out in an accountability system, I think, is what we still need to see. But I do think because of the mandates and, again, the financial allotments that came with HB3, I would suspect that the measurement that they're using to sort of gauge effectiveness of that money will be the STAR.
So, I know you're asking her for an approval, but does this got to be approved tonight, or can we move it down the road just so we can get a better understanding tomorrow? Because, so we don't get ourselves, because the information tomorrow and the day, it seems like there's a lot of correlation here. And so one of the things that I'll be asking tomorrow is how we as the Board of Trustees, obviously Lone Star Governors, we're bringing somebody to work here as a superintendent, and we're going to set goals for him, and he's going to accept them. So, how that's part of the work, I guess, tomorrow to come to an agreement with that and how we're going to do it. But does this have to be approved today, or can we move it down the road?
I believe that we can move it to December. I think we're a little nervous about doing that, though, because we start getting into a tighter timeline. I can tell you that we did bring our task force together, and we kept these targets in mind as we were looking at all of the different data points that we were gathering for all of the students to help really come to a good recommendation on the Lone Star governance targets. So they are aligned. This is also it's annual. So that's another thing that makes it a little bit different. It's an annual target. It's not, Lone Star governance really is projecting out what your targets are each year, where we need to be even at the middle of the year to know that we're on track, and then where we'll be in 2025. Jill, did you want to add?
I would only add that that's one of the big differences between this annual report to the board and annual evaluation of the House Bill 3 subset of data that is very different from Lone Star governance. So we're used to reporting out on goals or goal progress measures of each goal quarterly at least. Mm-hmm. This is an annual report that we will deliver after STAR scores and CCMR rates have been determined. A public report to the board, but a one-time annual report. So it has to be approved by January. And even that is a pushback due to COVID from the spring. Initially, these should have been approved this summer. Of course, with everything that happened, no one was ready for the data sets by that time. So they did push us to January. I will say that the task force did look at alignment with the Lone Star governance goals, and the workshop we'll do tomorrow, especially with K2 and 3 through 8, to ensure that we would meet these House Bill 3 targets as well.
Well, in my preference, I would like to see it move just because to see the totality of it for tomorrow and this information to come to a better consensus about how the relationship is, because
yeah, and that's up to the board. So if the board decides not to approve tonight, then we'll need to know when you want to approve, just know that we did do, we feel like a good job of aligning these vertically with K2 and 3-8. But absolutely, if that's what the board decides, then this was not necessarily part of the prepared workshop tomorrow because this is not part of Lone Star governance. But if that's something that we need to get prepared for, then of course we can.
Well, and I want to thank you for being prepared, but we want to make sure, in my view, I want to make sure that we get it. You know, the first Lone Star governance I think was fabulous, but I want to make sure that we get good understanding going into the next one and how it's really how we're gonna move forward with it. I'm asking that we move this. I make a motion that we move this to December to approve it, so we can tomorrow, get the correlation between this. I know might not be prepared for it tomorrow, but maybe we can.
No, whatever the board needs us to be prepared for tomorrow, we will. We will
To
deliver.
get a correlation
So
between
whatever
both of them.
the board decides at this point, if I need to continue the presentation, I can, or if not, then we can do whatever the board recommends.
I'd like to move that we approve this tonight.
Mr. Marquez has a motion on the floor to table this until the December meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Trischetti. During the discussion, I have a question. I understand the point. My question is specifically, when you say the word align, I am anticipating that at tomorrow's workshop, we will discuss K through 2 goals and 3 through 8 goals. And I'm anticipating that 3 through 8 has goals regarding literacy and math, correct? And that the baseline or the goals for 2020 for the 2021 school year, for this school year, that goal, the annual goal for the end of the school year for say STAR reading and math will be based on the data points that y'all have triangulated to figure out whether that goal for 2021 is a stretch and smart goal, correct?
As well as what is the standard for domain 3, which is the
Level or above.
Okay, and when you use the word align, that this is aligned with what we're going to hear about tomorrow night, is it because this is laser focused on the end of 3rd grade, whereas our Lone Star goals are focused on K through 2 and 3 through 8 rather than just 3rd grade?
With one clarification, if you'll remember, our goal 2 is the meets or above grade level on both reading and math STAR.
Right.
So 44% on both is very high. But you will see goal progress measures that directly align with this 44 at meets or above in reading and 46 at meets and above in math.
Okay. Yeah, I agree that I think we would benefit, personally, I think we'll benefit from tomorrow's night's workshop to appreciate what you're saying, that this is aligned with what we're going to hear about tomorrow night so we can fully understand it.
Yes, sir.
So is this, I know that we keep saying House Bill 3, this is pushed because of that. Is this tied to funding, House Bill 3?
No, but what the state has done has allocated funds toward early literacy. And so what this is showing, because the state has allocated funding for improved reading, the science of teaching reading, all the reading academies, everything that's happening as a result, the state would then logically expect for students to be better prepared by the time they get to 3rd grade STAR reading and math.
Have they given any indication? I know Lone Star governance is separate, but we don't touch goals until they're done. Just for instance, 51%, I cringe to think that we're shooting for a 5-year goal that only half our kids are going to read on the right level. Do we have the ability to change these goals?
I need to go back and check the actual legislation, but I don't know, honestly, so I can go back and check. Every year we give an annual report on how we are progressing.
Mr. Marquez, a clarification. Is your motion limited to the recommended early childhood literacy and early childhood math and not the college career military readiness recommendation?
No, sir, because I really just, as a block, take it move forward to December.
All right, well, is it correct to say that we will not be discussing, we were not scheduled, we had decided earlier this summer that CCMR should be separate apart from Lone Star Goals because of all
That is correct.
the specificity, it just didn't fit within Lone Star governance, but it was something that we wanted to do and set goals for. But your answer to my question, Mr. Marquez, is that you would like all of it postponed to December, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Even though we're not planning, Ms. Rivera was not planning to discuss the CCMR goals in tomorrow's Lone Star workshop.
That is correct.
Yes, sir, and to make clarification on that. Mr. Board President, we potentially have 2 board members by then. And I would really appreciate if there was a full board to hold the feet, you know, as we move forward and accountability, that there's a clear understanding what we're hiring for and the goals we're setting.
I don't.
The 2 board members will not be seated on December 16th.
Our board members won't be seated till December 18th, and the next meeting will be December 14th. So you're pushing it to January.
Cannot do it. By law.
Well, I'm willing to take the first portion of it then to December, and we can move forward with the bottom portion of this, which is the Ccmr Goals.
So your motion is limited to tabling the early childhood literacy portion and the early childhood math portion and not the CCMR portion, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Trischetti, do you accept that amendment? All right. Any further questions or discussion about the motion on the floor?
Now,
All right. Yes, James?
Mr. Revere, I have one question.
Is your microphone on? Okay.
It's on. Your preparation for tomorrow's workshop is such that there is a thorough explanation relative to alignment.
I'm sorry, let me rephrase and see if I can.
You will give a thorough explanation as to your meaning and that these goals
Yes.
are aligned with our Lone Star Board.
Yes, sir.
Lone Star governance recommendations tomorrow night, right?
It's no problem.
Okay.
Any other questions? You ready for the vote? The motion to table? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Mr. Trischetti, myself, Mr. Marquez, and Mr. Fuller voted yes, and so approved. All right, now, why don't you turn to CCMR goals and explain that for us, please?
Yes, sir. I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Mr. Jeff Horner, who is in his home office right now to get through the CCMR things.
I'm sorry, Mr. Rivera, I didn't give an opportunity. All those opposed, same side.
Oh.
All right, Mr. Kennedy, Mr. Murray, and Mr. Bishop voted against it. I'm sorry, gentlemen. All right, thank you.
Yes, and
Please
so
continue, Ms.
I'm
Rivera.
on standby in case Jeff has technical difficulties, but at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Horner.
Thank you, Mr. Rivera. Ms. Rivera, just give me a verbal, just to make sure you hear me all right before I go on, please.
Yes, we can hear you, and we see you in your little Brady Bunch square.
All right, thank you, Mr. Rivera. Good evening, President Davis, trustees, Superintendent Dixon. In hearing the dialogue, I appreciate you considering CCMR goals separately. Last October, or the October board meeting, I presented to you the CCMR goals as an information item. If you'll remember, we talked about there are 10 ways that you can become college, career, or military ready. And out of those 10, what our strategic task force did was find the 3 most leverageable goals to focus on. So what you'll see here is 4 goals that are aligned to the 60 by 30 goals from the state of Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board with an overarching goal. The overarching goal is the all students CCMR goal in general. The second goal is meeting the TSIA expectation. Just a reminder, that is the college-bound TSI test or the ACT test or the SAT. There's many combinations of those that can get you there. The third goal is advanced placement. We, as a committee, leadership felt like that was the most room to grow on within our advanced placement program. And the fourth, so very important to what we do in Midland and what we're striving for in our academies and our CTE programs, is increasing the industry-based certificates that our students graduate with, leaving them exactly what is described as CCMR ready. So the task force is recommending these goals. Mike, if you'll go to the next slide. So as Ms. Rivera mentioned before, because it's part of House Bill 3, number one, that January adoption is very important. They did give us an extension. It was previously during the summertime, so they extended it. But of course, the CCMR is part of that, and the other part of it is that we identify actual sub-targets for each student group. So what I didn't talk about in October was literally the sub-targets that are listed here. Finally, just to put all this together, you know, the CCMR goals are the icing on the cake for the board goals. The third and stack goal, of course, is graduating all students. The CCMR piece really aligns to our mission, graduating them prepared and ready. And so with that, I'll open it up to discussion. I will point out just real quick, in your board memo, I apologize, you'll find that there is a typo in the cover sheet. The typo had said 70%. We went back and forth. We discussed the pros and cons and really extrapolated the data to come up with these goals, and one of our original drafts had 70%, so mistakenly in your board cover sheet, you'll see 70%. However, the actual goal is 72% by 2026. You'll also see some asterisk pieces here. That's because, first of all, if the student group is too small, rather than identify that the graduating class student group of a very small number of kids, it's asterisk. So we did not set goals in some of those where we don't have students or where it's not required. The last two columns continuously enrolled, because these data points are always a year behind, but the graduating class continuously and non-continuously enrolled are not required. And with that, I'll open it up to questions and consideration for approval. Thank you.
Motion by Mr. Trischetti, second by Mr. Kennedy. Any further questions or discussion?
Jeff?
Yes, sir.
This data we're looking at, is this the yearly lagging data?
Yes, sir. So in the board cover sheet, you'll see a link to the strategic plan. The strategic plan's about 18 pages, and that strategic plan has all of the lagging data that you'll need to look at historical. It's very, very extensive, and it's a lot to take in. The strategic plan is. So what you'll see there is in 2021 is a projected for the class of. So we will actually, because that lags, we will not know that until November of 2022. It's always a year behind. So what you have are projections and the actual goals by subgroup in this orange table in front of you.
Okay, so 2021 is 60%, but that's realized and we see the information in 2022.
Yes, sir. So 2020 was such an unusual year. One of the benefits of the lagging data is, unlike what we've struggled with in board goals, we didn't necessarily have the same gap in data building for the college-bound goals, because class of 20 right now, we're really getting the class of 19. November is when we'll actually finalize class of 19 data. So I realize that can get very confusing, but because that goal data is lagging, we don't actually have the same challenge in the COVID class of 20 trying to use it for projections. We're able to extrapolate and come up with these targets without having some of the gaps that we had with the class of 20.
Thank you.
Will we have however, will we have a gap? I guess we don't have any goals for 20, for the end of the school year 20. It starts with 21.
Yes, sir. In the strategic plan, you'll see that 2020, we actually used as setting a baseline. We have a projected goal, but it's still, that is a fact that it's still not there. So rather than saying we missed or didn't miss it, we just left it as set as the column is setting it as a baseline. But we still feel comfortable with the class of 21 goals, because that's data we're acting on right now with this group of kids that are seniors currently.
Any other questions? All right, all those in favor of the motion, please raise your right hand. It's unanimous. Thank you. All right, thank you, Mr. Rivera. Thank you, Mr. Horner. It is now I'm sorry. Earlier, I forgot to call on Dr. Dixon if there are any other district reports.
Yes, sir.
Under agenda item 5.
I would like to report that we did deploy the central office staff. Last Friday, we filled 60 of the unfilled vacancies from our offices. We called each campus on Thursday afternoon and asked them what they needed. And so we filled, and then yesterday, over the weekend, and this morning, we contacted those again. We filled another 20 today, and we did that procedure again this afternoon at 3, called the schools, and the number being needed is decreasing, and for tomorrow it's 13. So we'll continue with that plan. We have, at this time, 155 teachers out of 1,700 out, less than 10%, but backfilling those from the district office brought that number down considerably. We currently have 5.9% students out, and I will try to get y'all a chart tomorrow. Every day is different. Young women's one day had 40 out, and the next day it was 2, because when they get quarantined, they usually get quarantined in groups based on the activity that happened. Was it a whole dance team that went out? But we're trying to cover the, we are prohibited from closing per TEA, except for cleaning our schools. Today, the commissioner said that he was reconsidering some guidelines for that. Now, whether we would meet them or what they even are, I don't know. But we are diligently watching this. We do care. The commissioner said today on his thing, the best place for kids is at school. And I think a lot of people have that feeling. Our problem is the challenge covering the classrooms. So we'll continue that support.
All right, thank you. Anything else?
No, sir.
Anything else, board? All right, it is 6:30 p.m. and we will go into closed session in accordance with Government Code Section 551.071. Consultation with legal counsel concerning legal issues related to superintendent search process and matters related thereto, in pending litigation in the matter style McMurray versus Midland ISD et al., civil action number 720-CV00242 in the United States District Court for the Western District of Texas. Thank you. It is 8:39 p.m. and we have emerged from closed session. We have no actions arising from closed session, so we are adjourned at 8:40 p.m. Thank you.